You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but supplements are absolutely essential for human survival. It's really hard to fathom how we even made it this far without modern day supplements. Now that we have all these potions and elixirs, it's pretty clear that, I mean, they're making a huge impact on our health. They're actually improving our health in very drastic ways, probably ways that most of us don't even understand or realize. So obviously I'm being extremely sarcastic. Now I've been carnivore for 5 years. Meat, salt, and water has made up 99.9% of my diet for the last 5 years straight. And not once throughout those 5 years have I needed any kind of supplementation in any shape or form whatsoever. You know, all these supplements that are stacked up behind me here, this is all stuff I was taking when I was bodybuilding. If you haven't seen my video where I kind of explain my story and how I got here, how I landed on carnivore, I'll link that in the description below. But essentially I did bodybuilding and powerlifting for about 12 years straight. So I started in 2005 and I carried that through till about 2017. That's when I got really sick. But you know, during that time, when I was bodybuilding, when I was powerlifting, I put on a significant amount of muscle. I mean, I really did. I went from 145 pounds to 230. And during that time, I was taking supplements. You know, I bought into the whole, you need to take supplements to get big. You need to take supplements to get healthy. You know, you need all these things to make sure that you're operating at peak performance, which, you know, maybe some of that is true. If you're a high level athlete, supplements and stuff like that can probably help you out. I'm not saying that there's no need for supplementation whatsoever. In certain applications, supplements can be very helpful. I won't disagree with that. But for the general population, in my opinion, and from my experience, I don't think supplements are really necessary. Because the word supplement by itself basically means that you're supplementing with something because you're lacking something in the diet. And if you're lacking something in the diet, that means that your diet does not consist of all the nutrients and all the things that you need to thrive. I mean, if you have to supplement with anything, vitamins, minerals, you know, protein powders, creatine, all this stuff, it means that you're not getting enough of it through your diet. And you know, looking back at this, I don't know that I needed to take all these supplements to get that big or how much it actually helped me because I was eating a tremendous amount of food. And I did cycle off and on supplements. You know, I would do creatine for a few months. I would cycle off of it. Protein powders I would do for a while and I would stop. But, you know, consistently I was taking like multivitamins. I was taking minerals. I was taking BCAAs. I mean, there were certain things that I carried through that entire 12-year period that I took pretty consistently throughout the whole time frame, and I really don't know how much of an impact it had on my health positively. Because if I think back on it, I mean, I was doing all these things and I was taking vitamins every single day. You know, I was taking all this stuff that's supposed to make you healthy, yet at the end of that 12 years in 2017, my health was still destroyed. And I got so sick. I mean, I was riddled with chronic disease. I was chronically wasting away. I had so many chronic issues. I had autoimmune conditions. I had, a ton of stuff. Like I said, the other video kind of explains all that. But regardless of me taking all of these supplements and taking these vitamins, my health still was completely wrecked. And you know, back then, I got sick way more often than I do now on carnivore. Back then, I would get sick throughout the winter months at least 3 to 4 times. I would have sinus infections. I would have bronchitis. I would just get really bad colds. I never had the flu too much, but I would get all these like upper respiratory infections. It didn't matter what I did. I tried to stay indoors. I tried to stay away from people. I tried to, take vitamin C. I tried to take vitamin D. I did all these things. And every single year I got just sick as a dog, 3 or 4 times throughout the winter. And I'd get sick maybe 3 times throughout the rest of the year. But like I said, it didn't matter what I did. I got sick. But now, since going carnivore, I can count on one hand how many times I've had a sinus infection or bronchitis or gotten a cold. I get sick less now than I have ever before in my entire life. And that is no joke. Because like I said, I've been plagued with like sinus infections and stuff pretty much my whole life. I would get them every single year. And since going carnivore, I simply don't get them. And again, I don't take any supplements for health reasons, for nutrition whatsoever. I don't take multivitamins. I don't take vitamin C. I don't take vitamin D. I don't do any of these things. Because everything you see behind me, all this stuff, all these supplements that are sitting back here, you can get from natural whole foods. Specifically meat. There is not a single thing behind me that you cannot get from meat. BCAAs, meat. Protein, meat. Zinc, magnesium, potassium, B12, B complex, creatine, glutamine, all these things back here that I was supplementing with, I get from meat now. And I look back on that and like I was eating these bodybuilding foods, I was eating really, really clean. I tracked my food to the microgram. I tracked everything every single day. Everything I put in my body, I tracked on MyFitnessPal chronometer, every single thing. You know, I was well above my RDA on vitamins and minerals and nutrients every single day because I'd go through bulking cycles, I'd go through cutting cycles. I had to track all that stuff to make sure that, you know, I was gaining and losing weight appropriately. And again, I was well above RDA on all this stuff, yet I was still sick all the time. Yet I still had all these problems, and yet I still got extremely sick, and my health was completely destroyed after doing all this stuff, after tracking my food and taking all these supplements. And there probably are certain applications where this stuff can be helpful, but I think if you focus on real food, if you focus on natural whole food, and you base your nutrition around meat, that's probably one of the most profound things you can do to improve your health. Now, the one thing that's back here that you cannot get from meat is this right here, Vitargo. And I was taking this when I was bulking up, and I was really trying to get really, really big when I went from like 200 to 230. And essentially what this is a, I guess you'd say, a worse version of table sugar, because that essentially just spikes your glucose and spikes an insulin response in a very, very short amount of time to force glycogen into the muscles, to fill your muscles, and to force nutrients and stuff into your muscles to help you recover. Now, does that work? Probably so. Like if you're operating at a very, very high level, if you're performing at a very high level and you're a super high level athlete, there's probably some benefit to that. But for me, you know, I was powerlifting, I was bodybuilding, and I was trying to get big. I wasn't competing or anything like that. There probably really wasn't a need to do that. And I don't think that spiking your blood sugar and promoting a really fast insulin response is something that's very beneficial long term. You know, it's made to use as a supplement, and you probably shouldn't rely on that stuff. You shouldn't be taking it all the time. But to do that to your body, you know, to consume something that has such an extremely high glycemic load and that is designed to spike your blood sugar and promote a super fast and super high insulin response, probably isn't that good for you. And you know, back then I was hungry all the time. I was eating every 2 hours on the hour. I was eating 7 to 9 meals every single day, and I was hungry. And now that I'm properly nourished and I'm getting all this stuff back here that you see behind me, I'm getting all that through food, specifically getting all of that through meat only. I don't get hungry that often. I get hungry once or twice a day. I feel actual hunger. And it's not hunger like I used to feel, where it's like you're binge-worthy hungry and you feel like you're going to pass out. It's not that kind of hunger. It's more like a subtle nudge that you feel. I would call it actually an intuition. It's a subtle nudge that you feel, like an intuition that's basically kind of saying, hey, you know what? You should probably eat now. And that lasts for me about 2 hours, and then it fades away. And then I'm just not hungry. Like I have to remind myself to eat. And to me, that is a very telling indicator that says I'm probably getting everything I need to optimize my health through diet. It's probably all there. Because again, I'm not taking supplements. I'm not relying on all this stuff. I'm not relying on these potions. I'm relying on food. And the fact that it satiates me to the point that I only get hungry once or twice a day, and I'm eating close to the same amount of calories as I was as when I was bulking up and I was 230 pounds and now I'm 175 pounds, that's a very telling indicator that the food I'm consuming now is way more nutrient dense than what I was consuming before. And all this stuff behind me isn't needed, because if it was, my body would be hungry. It would be telling me to eat more, and it simply doesn't do that. I don't get those cravings. I don't get lightheaded. I don't get all these crazy hunger signals, you know, where you're almost doubled over, your stomach's just churning and growling, and you get hunger pains and all this stuff. I don't get that. There has not been a single time over the 5 years I've been carnivore that I've had that level of hunger. And I fasted for 3 days straight. And I see a lot of people online, like influencers and just people on social media and blogs and articles and stuff, that are just hawking these supplements. And you know, while it can benefit some people, and by all means, if you're deficient in a certain vitamin or mineral, then supplementation is probably the only way to go. I mean, when I was sick and I was recovering, I absolutely took supplements. At the beginning of my carnivore journey, I had to, because I was deficient in magnesium, potassium. I was deficient in several different vitamins. And had I not taken supplements to combat that, it probably would just prolong my suffering. Like I probably would have healed, but it just would have taken a whole lot longer than it should have. And my magnesium deficiency, I don't think I would have healed that with carnivore alone, because there's not quite enough magnesium in meat, and most of the water we consume doesn't have magnesium in there, which is the optimal way to absorb it is actually through walking around, like through the dirt, contact with the ground, and through water. And again, as deficient as I was in magnesium, I probably wouldn't have got enough to actually resolve my deficiency. So those things can be very critical. They can be very good to use as a tool, but I don't think they should be relied on. And in a lot of cases, I don't think they're needed. I don't think they're necessary. Because if you're eating highly nutritious food and your food contains all of the stuff that you need to thrive, then you don't need supplements. Because again, supplements are a supplement for something you're lacking in your diet. I mean, it's really that simple. And you see a lot of these people that are hawking supplements and, you have to have this, and they make it seem like you have to have this stuff. And particularly, they target a lot of younger kids, a lot of kids that are trying to like get strong and bulk up. And like I said, it can help. But when you take these things, you're essentially taking a very small piece of what could be an amazing thing. Because if you take a steak, not only does it have the protein in there you're needing, but it has all the other stuff. It has the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients, all this stuff. And when you're taking a protein supplement and you're getting 20 extra grams of protein, you're just getting that protein. And you're missing out on all of the other things that could be benefiting your health. And the same goes for like BCAAs. I mean, you take BCAAs and you're getting just those BCAAs when you could be consuming meat and getting the BCAAs along with protein, along with vitamins, along with minerals, along with antioxidants. When you consume meat, you're getting all this in a package deal. And it just makes more sense that you would do that rather than take a supplement where you're only getting that small subset of what the supplement is promoting. You're missing out on all these vital nutrients and all these vital vitamins and minerals and things that are just going to optimize your health. I mean, take collagen, for example. Most people in the United States are extremely deficient in collagen because we consume very little red meat, and the meat that we do consume in our diets doesn't have connective tissue. So the cuts of meat that have a lot of collagen simply aren't desirable. A lot of people don't like that stuff. So most of the country is deficient in collagen. So when you take a collagen supplement, again, you're just consuming the collagen and you're missing out on everything else that comes along with meat. All the benefits. You're missing out on all that. And then another problem with a lot of these supplements, like a lot of the ones behind me, a lot of the stuff I used to take, I didn't realize it at the time, but there's a lot of additives and fillers, and there's just a lot of unnatural things in there. And when I was taking supplements, when I was taking specifically whey protein, and I was taking GNC's multivitamin, the Mega Min protein powder version of it, there was a lot of stuff in there that I think was kind of messing with my health a little bit, because a lot of times when I would take whey protein and I would take these powdered forms of vitamins, it would kind of make me break out. And like throughout my childhood, I never had acne at all. Like it was not a problem for me. I know a lot of people suffer from that. And I think a lot of that's very much diet related, but I never had a problem with it. And when I would supplement with these protein powders and I would do it regularly, I would notice that my face would kind of break out. I'd get pimples and stuff all over, specifically on my forehead. And like I said, I never had that throughout my childhood. So clearly something was going on there. There was something that was causing low-grade inflammation, probably an allergy in some way, or just disrupting my health, maybe even my hormones. And I've also noticed in like a lot of the BCAAs and a lot of the stuff that's flavored and colored is there's a lot of artificial colors in there. There's a lot of artificial food dyes. And that stuff is absolutely horrible for your health. I mean, there's so many studies now that links food dyes and artificial coloring to behavioral disorders and neurological disorders. They add these colors to these foods to entice you to buy. I mean, that's all it is. So these things offer zero nutritional value, but in return, they're also negatively affecting your health. But perhaps one of the most overlooked aspects of this whole thing is the bioavailability of a lot of these supplements. These companies, they have to make a profit or else they wouldn't stay in business. So what they do is they put in the lowest quality and the lowest form of these vitamins and minerals so that they can still turn a pretty decent profit margin. So it kind of makes sense to me that I still became magnesium deficient, even though I was taking supplements like Animal Pack and I was taking like GNC's multivitamin that contains magnesium and it contains all these other vitamins and minerals, because the form of magnesium that was in these supplements is extremely low quality. But when you're getting these things in natural form, when you're getting it specifically through meat is the most bioavailable food on the planet. Our bodies are very, very efficient at digesting and absorbing nutrients from meat. And if you want a true multivitamin, liver is the most nutritious multivitamin on the planet. It contains almost every single essential nutrient, vitamin, and mineral that the human body needs, and it is extremely bioavailable. Whereas again, this stuff behind me, all these supplements and stuff, they're not bioavailable. Some of the stuff is so low quality that your body actually doesn't even know what to do with it, especially when it comes to things like synthetic vitamins, because then you're getting into the realm of your body really doesn't know what to do with it, so much so that it causes low-grade inflammation and can really mess with your health. I mean, it can actually cause a lot of disruption within the body. You know, we think we're doing the right thing and we think we're doing right by ourselves by taking these multivitamins because we're told they're healthy, not knowing that there are many different forms, and most of the ones that are marketed to us that we could actually afford to buy are going to be of so low quality that it may be providing almost zero benefit for what you're paying for it, and it could actually be harming us in the long term. So dollar for dollar, nutrient for nutrient, meat's going to win every single time. Meat, liver, animal products are going to win every single time, because again, when you buy this stuff, you're getting just that single thing. You're getting just that one piece of a very complex puzzle instead of getting the package deal. So looking back at all this and thinking about, you know, how much I've spent on supplements over the years and all the things I was putting in my body that I probably didn't need if I was just getting it from food, and then looking at all the non-essential things that came along with it, and the fact that a lot of this stuff is probably full of a bunch of contaminants as well that's probably not as well documented. But I know a lot of processed food in general, it just contains numerous contaminants, you know, whether it be lead, arsenic, whether it be aflatoxins or PFAs or microplastics. I mean, there's all kinds of really bad stuff in a lot of these processed foods. But looking back at all that, you have to wonder, like, number one, did I really need these things? I would venture to say that I don't. And I think I'm living proof that I don't, because now that I've been carnivore 5 years, I haven't needed this stuff. And I'm way healthier now than I was back then. And I'm in probably better shape than I was back then. I'm not as big as I was, but I also have no desire to be that big. I don't train that way anymore. I'm much leaner than I was. I'm much more physically fit. And my health overall is just drastically better than it was back when I was lifting heavy and I was taking all these supplements and all these potions and all these concoctions. So I sat down and did the math on all this. And just the stuff that you see in this frame right here, just the stuff that's in this video, cost $790 in today's market. I sat down and looked up every single piece of what's sitting back here. $790. And now thinking about this, I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt, because I could have bought a quarter cow for that. I mean, I looked up the average cost of a quarter cow now, and it's between $700 and $900. So literally, I could have bought a quarter cow and had everything that's sitting back here, all in a package deal, plus all the other beneficial things, without having to have all this, and I would have had enough food to get me through probably about a quarter of the year. And you know, this stuff sitting behind me, this is probably only like a month or 2 months supply. So you're taking that, you're spending $700-800 for 2 or 3 months, and that's just supplements. That's not counting food. So you still have to buy groceries on top of that. So I could have just done away with all this stuff. I could have done away with everything sitting back here and just bought a quarter cow and had everything that's sitting here, to include the food itself, to include the actual groceries and the sustenance that's going to get me through those 2 or 3 months. So to kind of wrap this up, I really don't think supplements are necessary. If you have a specific deficiency, I think they are necessary. I think they can be a very beneficial and helpful tool. But aside from that, to use supplements as a supplement for diet, in my opinion, is 100% not needed, because you should be focusing on getting everything you need through diet, not in supplement form. Because again, when you consume it through diet, when you consume it through food itself, you're getting that sustenance. You're getting everything you need in a package deal. You don't have to split it up and take this supplement for this supplement for that. And before you know it, you're like me and you got $800 worth of products sitting behind you that you're consuming every single day. It just doesn't make sense. And you know, thinking back throughout history, there's no other time throughout history that we've needed to rely on multivitamins and supplements to get us by. We got here just fine eating the things that are found in nature. We did not need to rely on supplements. So it's only within the last 100 years or so that we've somehow come to rely on these supplements, and we now suddenly need to supplement with vitamins and minerals to get us by. That alone proves that the food we're eating is not as nutrient dense as it used to be, and does not provide us with all the things that we need to thrive. So as I go along and I share more and more of my story, you're going to hear me talk about supplements. You're going to hear me talk about certain things that I used for very strategic purposes to overcome certain ailments, like candida and fungal overgrowth and things like that. And you're going to hear me talk about supplements I used to overcome magnesium deficiency and things I took to heal my gut. And again, those types of things can be very beneficial when you're using them for a very strategic purpose. But when it comes to using supplements to replace something that you're missing in the diet, that's something I can't get on board with. Because again, if you're eating natural, whole foods that contain all the stuff you need, then supplements should not be necessary. But that's just my opinion. That's my experience, but I'm super curious to know y'all's opinion on this. So let me know in the comments below what your take is on supplements. If you're carnivore, have you needed supplements? Do you take supplements on a regular basis? Do you think they're necessary? Do you think they can be beneficial? Or do you think that they're unnecessary and you can get everything you need through food? So again, share your opinion in the comments below because I'm really curious to know what y'all's opinion is on this. But if this resonates with you and you're tired of people trying to sell you supplements and you're tired of seeing supplement ads and have people make you feel like you need these things instead of saying, hey, you know what? Just focus on real natural whole foods that contains the entire package, then feel free to like, subscribe, join the Apex tribe, and let's start a movement where we buy quarter cows instead of this crap.